Hello guys, welcome to my channel that is eNetwork. So here in this channel I talk about mainly data science, machine learning and artificial intelligence, and I answer all of your queries. So you're most welcome to write your queries on the comment section. With that, let me introduce you the today's topic. So that is the logistic regression. So I'm going to build a model using logistic regression. So this problem is classification problem. So I'm going to take the banking data. So there, the idea is to predict whether a client will subscribe for a term deposit or not. Okay, so that's a very basic problem. So idea is just to understand how logistic regression works and how we classify objects in certain categories. Okay, so with that, let me start sharing my screen, and I will just let you know like what is the agenda. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so here you see like this is the all blank cells are available. So at the end of the session, you will have all the code written here. Okay, so I will execute each and every line in front of you, so that you will get better understanding. Okay, so yeah, so before starting, let me introduce like what is the agenda, what you'll be taking away from this session. So like the problem statement is like predict whether the client will subscribe for the term deposit or not, and then I will talk about exploratory data analysis on banking data. Then jump to visualization. The next step, data pre-processing. That is handling categorical variable. That is very important. Then oversampling techniques. We'll see if our data is imbalanced. Like we have, see in our target variable. So it is a classification problem, binary classification, like whether a client will subscribe for a term deposit or not. So yes or no kind of prediction we are going to do. Okay. So we'll see like all yes or no or zero and one are equally distributed. If they're not equally distributed, so whichever is having more data, so that may dominate the minority class, right? So that's where we need to do the oversam. We need to perform some sampling techniques. Okay, so here I will be using oversampling using a smart technique. So I will just go through. Okay, and then next thing I will talk about random feature selection. Oh, sorry, random feature elimination. That is RFE. So what it will do, like it will start with all the features, and in multiple iterations, it checks the model performance, and based on that, it keep on eliminating. So I will explain in detail. Okay, so not to worry about that one. And then I will come to model building, and then next is like understanding model output, and then of course the confusion matrix and what is ROC curve all about. Okay. So with that, let me start importing some of the libraries. Okay. So the very first library I will import that is a pandas library. So we'll use import pandas SPT. Then I will import NumPy SNP. See, of course, before importing, you need to install the pandas and NumPy. You can use like a pip command, pip install pandas, pip install NumPy. Okay, so I have already installed these libraries, so I'm just directly importing them. So who are in the audience, like if someone is very new, so pandas is used for data manipulation, okay, data wrangling, so data transformation from one form to another form. And NumPy is also kind of same data manipulation, basically more involved with like arrays data type. Okay. So these two libraries we used for data manipulation, and then I will import some of the libraries for visualization. So I'll be using matplotlib, pyplot SPLT, okay. and then I will be using we need to import the logistic regression model also. So classifier. So let me import that also. Import scalar dot linear model. So that is from a scalar linear model. Import logistic. Regression. Okay. So I'll be using logistic regression. And then we'll import like we need to split the train test data, so we'll be importing the like train test split also. So that is from sklearn dot model underscore selection import train test split. Okay. So, so you see, I have already installed the sklearn matplotlib, so I can directly import. But if you are not installed, then you need to first install them. Okay. So let me import. See here, this star mark is telling you like these are running. Okay, so it's successful. So these all libraries are imported. Okay. So now next thing, like I will also import there is one more visualization library called Seaborn. So I'll be importing the Seaborn. So that import Seaborn SNS, and I'll just set some styling feature, that is SNS dot set style is equal to white. We'll set some more styling. Color code. True. Okay. So color code says equal to true. Let me execute this. Okay. So it is telling is equal to true. There is a column because here is underscore. Okay. So now again some column color code. Okay. So we need to remove one code. Okay. Let me. Okay. Now it ran perfectly. Okay. So now we have imported some basic libraries. Okay. On the way, if we will be needing some more libraries, I will show you how to import them. Okay. So now let's import the data also. Then let's read the data file. Okay, so I will read it and data pd dot read underscore csv. So where our file is. Before that, we need to check like in which directory we are. Okay, so I am present here. Okay, in the same directory our file is there. If you have your file in different directory, then of course you need to give the complete path. Okay, so now we have read this. Now this complete data came to data directory. Okay, so let's see some of the data. Okay, so data dot head. If you run this, so you will get this data. Okay, so now head is the command used to print the top 5 rows of the data set. Okay, so this is called as a data frame. So this act as a data frame. Okay, so pd dot read csv, so it will. So this, and now if you run data dot tail, then you will get the last 5 records. Okay, so this now so here in these steps we are basically going to understand going to perform the exploratory data analysis. So let me let me make a heading like we are doing exploratory data analysis. Okay, so we need to change the cell type from code to markdown, and then tells you what size of the heading. So this becomes a heading. So 3 kind of h3. So let me execute. Okay, so you can execute using this run button, or you can just press Control Enter. Okay, so this made a heading. Okay, so now we understand data dot head, we understand data dot tail, we understand some more info about the data. Okay, so the info function will give you some more info. So see here. So it is telling like we have total around 41,000 entries, and then we have total 21 columns, and this is the detail of those columns. Okay, so now they are telling like we have age, job, marital status, education, default. These are the different columns, and this is the data type. So whichever are integer kind of numeric, so it is giving int 64 and float. Okay, but like in 64, and some it is giving you as an object. Okay, so these are nothing but the categorical columns. So by default, it returns them as an object. Okay, so we'll see how to handle them and how to interpret them. Okay, so before starting, let's understand more about these columns, what they're representing. Okay, so I have this description also. So let's see. Okay, so now see, we have different columns like what age. So age is like numeric, so just normal age of the person. Okay, and then a job like what kind of job he's doing. So whether it's a categorical column, whether like, so this is the type of job, like he's admin, he's doing blue collar job, he's entrepreneur, he's housemaid, he's doing management kind of job, he's retired, self-employed, services, like this. Okay, so these are the different categories. Okay, so for some of the person whoever has corrected this data, he don't know, right? So its category is unknown. Okay, we'll keep this as it is. Okay, we'll come there. And the next column is like a marital. So whether he's married, divorced, or single, or unknown. Okay, we don't know the status. Okay, so this is another column. Then education, like he what kind of education he's having. Like so there is certain education, basic dot 4y, basic dot 6y, basic dot 9y. Okay, then high school, illiterate, professional courses he's doing. He's having no university degree or some unknown. Okay, so see here. So one thing to take care is like basic dot 4y, basic dot 6y, basic dot 9y. So possibly these all are belonging to basic category, so we can convert them to basic. Okay, so that we'll see while doing the data pre-processing. Okay, till now we are only understanding the exploratory data. We are exploring the data, right? That's what we do in exploratory data analysis. So just getting the know-how of the data. Okay, so and then we have some column as a default, like has credit in default or not. Then there is a housing, he has house loan or not. Then loan, whether it's a personal loan or not. So these are the categorical variable. Like if the person who has personal loan, so that field is yes, and the personal loan who don't have, then field is no. Okay. Then contact, then month. Contact is like contact information type, like he has cellular or telephone. A month, last contact month of the year. Like see, when they any agency, when they start some campaign, so they record all these data, right? So that's what they are telling, like month. So last contact month of year, like when they contacted that person last time. Okay, so that data it is representing. And then we have day of week, last contact day of the week, when they last contacted, what was the day. Okay, and then we have something called duration. So duration, this is a bit important, though it is not uh, useful in the data set in our model building, but this is an important variable to understand. See what duration is telling. Suppose during your campaign, some bank person has called Mr. A. Okay, and this duration, like how many minutes, how many seconds that bank person has talked to Mr. A. Okay, so if it is a zero duration, means immediately phone was cut. So it means, of course, no talk, no subscription. Okay, so that person has not subscribed for the term deposit. Clear cut, no. Okay, then if he has talked some for some time, then after putting the phone, you know the status, whether he has agreed, he was convinced with your services or not. Okay, so you know this. So that if you already know this, then no need to like include this in your predictive modeling, right? So because you want to predict whether if you are going to call that person, so whether he will subscribe for the term deposit or not, so that you have some sense, then only you will call. Otherwise, if you are very much sure he is not going to subscribe the term deposit, then why you will call, why you will waste your time, right? So that's the important, that's what meaning this variable is giving. Okay, then next is like p days. So what it is telling, like number of days that passed by after the client was last contacted. Okay, since we contacted that client last time, so since that time duration. Okay, in previous campaign. Then there's a variable called previous. So the number of contacts performed before this campaign and for this client. Okay, how many contacts has already been performed for this particular client? Okay, before this campaign, because we bank, they ran a campaign time to time. Okay, so suppose before the current campaign, how many times they have already contacted? So that history. Okay, then P outcome. Outcome of the previous marketing campaign. What is the outcome? Whether it was success, it was failure, or client doesn't exist. Okay, no existence. Okay. Then of course some other variables we have like employee variability rate, like employment, like how frequently employee is changing the employer his job. Okay, so that also gives some sense. Okay, so they all have some meaning. So likewise we have other variables also. Okay, so so these are the important variables which I have already explained to you. So now again jump to our exercise. Okay, so that's what I explained about all these main variables. So here, if you see, like we have job variable, marital status, education, default, housing, all those things. Okay. Now let's move further and see some more analysis. Okay. So we have seen info, and we have something called data.describe. So if you describe the data, so it will describe all the numeric columns. It will leave out object or categorical column. So that's where we see age. So let's understand a little bit about this describe function. So age. So it is telling like in this data set, we have the mean age of the person is 40 and standard deviation is 10. Means person's age is so uh, all the persons whose data is present in this data set, so their age, so mean age is 40 and their age is varying with 10. It's like 40 plus 10, 40 minus 10 kind of. Okay, so that is like standard deviation is 10. Okay, and then minimum age is 17. So that standard deviation is telling on an average. Okay, how much variance is there in your data set with respect to mean point. Okay, then the minimum age is 17, then 25 percentile, that is 32, 50 percentile, 75 percentile max age. Okay, so we have 98 age person also. Okay, so these are the statistical terminology. So I hope you have covered your statistical concepts. So these all coming from that. So that's where understanding statistical concepts is very important. Okay, and then we have something called duration. Okay, and then campaign p days, like okay, past contact, then previous employee variance rate, all those variables. Okay, we have already understand these variables. Okay, so this is the data, and then let's move further. Then we see like we want to know like whether there are any values available in the data set. So we'll just run this. Okay, so there is no any value basically. Okay, there's no any value. So now, see, so if we talk about here, so if we see our data set, like we have a job, a retired, housemaid, admin, technician, student. Okay, but in data.tail we have seen last 5 rows. In data.head we have seen first 5 rows. But what about the middle one? Okay, so how to know what are the different categories exist for this particular variable or this particular variable? Okay, so let's see how. So if we do data in bracket, you give the particular column name dot value underscore count, and if you run this, then it will give. Okay, so here we have these different categories like admin, blue collar, technician, all these things. Okay, and what is the count for each job type? That like there are 10,422 people belong who are doing admin job. There are 9,254 people who are doing blue collar job. Okay, so all these. Okay, and similarly you can do for the marital status. Okay, dot value underscore count. So before jumping to building the model, it is very important to understand about those data sets. What kind of variables are there? What kind of whether they are numeric or categorical, and their variance. All these things you need to know. Okay, that helps you in model building. Okay, and then going further, let's we have about another column like we have education. Okay, let's see about education. Okay, data UCATION dot value underscore zero count. Okay, so see here. So we have university dot degree, high dot school. Okay, basic. So that's what I was talking about, right? We have basic dot 9, basic dot 4, basic dot 6. So maybe it makes sense if you convert all these basics to one basic. Okay, so let's do that one. Okay, so like data education. this how it here will use NumPy. Okay, so data it's equal to so I'll explain how this is working. See, so what this means, see, you are going to do some processing on data column. So we have education and we are applying some where conditions. This is ternary operator. In data.education column, you will check wherever you find basic.ny, 9y, you will replace with basic, else you will return this. Okay, so it kind of, if this is true, you replace with this value, else you return the other value. Okay. If this is true, then this, else this. Okay. So same thing we will be doing for other two basics. Okay, so basic dot 6 and then we have basic dot 4. Okay, let's run this. Okay, so now if you run this again, you will have, okay, so you have only one basic. That's fine. So now the total basic having 12,000 students who belongs to basic education category. Okay, so like this. And then let's see like what is how your target variable is varying. So target variable is yes. Okay. See here. So zero means who have not subscribed for the term deposit. One means who have subscribed for the term deposit. So around 36,548 persons in this data set who have subscribed for the term deposit, but 4640 not. So see, this is totally imbalanced data set. Okay, so if you go straight forward and build your model, so your zero class, that is not subscribed class, will play major role, and that will dominate the one category. Okay, so that we don't want. We want to prioritize both equally. We want to give equal weightage to both of them. So that's where we will be needing. We need to balance this class. So we will be looking some balancing technique. Okay, in pre-processing steps. Okay, so for now you understand. Okay, your class is imbalanced. Okay, so this is an imbalanced class problem. So maybe I can give you a comment. This is the imbalance class problem, which we will be handling during pre-processing steps. Okay, and let's change the cell to markdown, and then maybe we can reduce the size a little bit more. Okay, so now this is the observation from this. Okay. And then, so with all these understandings, we have looked almost everything in the data set. Like we looked what are the different variable type categories, numeric. Okay, and we got to know like what all variable is telling about. Okay, so let's jump to some visualization techniques. So we'll see first. First, we'll visualize the your y, that is SNS dot count plot. SNS dot count plot x is equal to 5. Then we need to pass the data. Okay. Well, we got this one. And if we will do this, then this warning will not come. Okay. So now see here. So we have the zero category that is not subscribed and one is subscribed. Okay. So that, and then we can see some more visualization for other chart. Let's see, do one by one. So first, let's okay. And Now we have a certain categorical variable here. If you see, we have education, we have marital, we have housing, we have loan, okay, personal loan. So let's understand what each variable is playing, like what role each variable is playing with respect to target variable. So we'll understand the relationship between these variable and target variable. Okay, so that's what we're going to understand. Okay, so we'll just I will explain the code matplotlib and plotly inline so that our charts are inlined. Then we have pd dot cross tab dot cross tab. So we'll give suppose we want to understand the job type. Okay, job versus data dot y. Okay, and then we want to plot this and kind is equal to var. Kind is equal to var figure size is equal to 16,16. Color map is equal to. So this is the color coding in matplotlib that you can get. Okay, if you explore the documentation of matplotlib, and then we have color map, and then we have something called font size. Font size equal to, let's do it 20. Okay, and then we'll have see. So it will draw the chart, bar chart between job versus y. Okay, so yeah, it is plot. Okay, and then we what we want to do. So we want to plt dot title. We want to make some title of the chart. So that is, so it is like job versus subscription, right? Okay, and then plt dot x label will see a job, and then plt dot y label, and y is equal to nothing but the frequency. Okay. plt dot, so let's run it. Let's see here. So here we saw what are the different job category, like we have admin, we have blue collar, we have entrepreneur, we have household, housemaid, and all those things. Okay, so see here. So in ad, so 0 means not subscribed, 1 means subscribed. Okay, so of course it is telling there are more admin jobs, so that's where we will have more subscription here. So if you just see the gray area, okay, so this gray is high here, and then like who are doing the admin job and the one who are the technician, they subscribe more for the term deposit. Okay, rest all are less. Okay, even see here, blue collar jobs are more, but still compared to technician they have subscribed less. Okay, so these are some inference we can draw from this. Okay, and this is the job like we have written in x, and then frequency in y, and then job versus subscription, that is. Okay, title. Okay, and then let's do the same thing with respect to marital status. So pd dot cross tab again. So we'll have data dot marital, this is a column, comma data dot y, and then we want to plot it. Okay, this kind of chart is bar. Okay, and then we want to set the figure size, like how big it should look like. The figure size will be 16, 16, and then we have a color map. I'm using dark 2 template. You can use other one. Okay, you can change your color, and then we have font size. Okay, font size. That should look a little bigger. Okay, that is okay. And then of course we want to set the title. TLE title. So this is marital versus subscription, right? Marital status versus subscription. Okay. Status. Now the next is like PLT dot available. Okay. So next retail status. Okay. PLT dot label. While label we will target a subscription frequency. Okay. Frequency count. Okay. And then we will do plot dot. So okay, let's see. My laptop is heating. Okay, so let me put something below the laptop so that it has some air. Okay, so now see in this graph we have like, so these are the different marital status category, like divorced, married, single, unknown. Okay, we don't know the category. Okay, so and then so unknown is very less, so that's where it is showing here very less, it's almost none. Okay, so see here married person, so married person are taking more term deposit. Okay, they have more liabilities, not exactly related with liabilities, okay, so they think, okay, they want to secure their life, okay, and their family life, so that's where they're looking for term deposit. Okay, and single person, they are not I mean taking, they're not caring about these things currently, so that's where they have less subscription in with respect to single category. Okay, and we have more. So here also you see like in data set, like people in that campaign, they have contacted more married person because they're expecting like married person will subscribe more. Okay, that sense they are developing. Okay, but that, so this is what your data is telling. Okay, I'm not telling anything, this is the data is telling. Okay, so everything is with respect to data. Okay, and then next let's do with respect to day of week, which days they happen more. So we'll pd dot cross tab. Okay, data dot day underscore off underscore week. Okay, day of week came comma data dot y, then dot plot. Okay, then we can copy everything from here. This all I will just replace. Okay, this is same. This is day versus then day of week, day of. I will tell you the significance. Okay, just hold for a moment. Okay, so now you see. So can you see like any particular day subscription happens more? So kind of Friday less, Monday little bit more or almost same, Thursday more, then again Tuesday less than Wednesday. Okay, so if you just look into this particular data, then Sunday and Saturday. Okay, there is no data for Sunday, Saturday, and Sunday. It clearly means like Saturday, Sunday offices are closed. Okay, so no, so bank people don't want to contact them in their holiday period because they don't pick the call. Okay, so that could be the reason they don't have data for Saturday, Sunday. So these are some interpretations, some inference we draw from the data, but it cannot be 100% true. Okay, so but that's what data analysis is all about. Like you draw the interpretation, what your data is telling to you. Okay, so like this, so these are some visualization I have shown you. Okay, and then you can draw the same thing like purchase frequency for the month. So we have like a month data and the subscription. So you can plot like for example, which month people are which month people are buying more subscriptions. So like here, if I just talk about the month, okay, then month versus okay month. Let's see. So here we see like so in May month so probably they run their campaign more in May month and July. Okay, June. Okay, then May, June, July kind of. Okay, and then April, August, December very less. Maybe it's because of cold or whatever. Okay, October, September very less. November very less. Okay, so kind of there is a pattern, right? So like May, June, July, May, June, July. So like up from April, they campaign start more, so April, then May, June, July, August, then again. So up from April it is start going in upward direction. So April, then May suddenly it take the peak. Then from May it again started decreasing. Then June, July little bit again increase. Then August, then again it is decreasing. Okay, so that's what interpretation we can draw from this graph. Okay, so likewise you can look for each category, each variable which is available in your data set. Okay, and then you can draw some interpretation. So moving further, let's see the histogram of the age. Like we have an age column, so we want to understand like which age group people. So that could be important, right? It could be important. It look like to me, okay, but I don't know. We can only tell something after looking into the data, right? So let's see how age is behaving. Like which age group are subscribing more for the term deposit? Okay, so let's plot it. Data dot age. Sorry, data dot age dot will plot the histogram. Okay, histogram, and let's see some figure size. Fig size equal to 16 comma 6. Okay, then we'll give x label size is equal to 20, y label size is equal to also 20. Okay, and then we'll set some of them. Okay, then this is not the verses, but this is the histogram of age. Okay, and then we have age, and of course y is frequency. Okay, then let's run it. What is the problem here? Y labels. Okay, so there should be a comma here. Okay, so see here. So now if you interpret this, so we can clearly see like the people who fall in the age group of 30 and 40 and maybe in 45, okay, or till 50. So they subscribe more for the term deposit. Okay, so they want to secure their life and their family life. Okay, so that's where they go for term deposit subscription and all those things. Okay, but of course after 50s, okay, then trend will decrease, right? 50s little bit, then 60 70, why you need? Okay, so you're anyway in the some of the last years of your age. Okay, so okay, and then people who are in 20s, probably they're not earning, right? So they will not go for subscription. So that's where like it is very correlating with real time, right? If you just think the real time scenario, like people in 30s 40 50, they are, that is a working class, right? So that's where they go for term deposit subscription. Okay, so that's all about, I would say, for visualization for now. Okay, so I just given you some idea like how to draw this visualization. Okay, so and then let's move further to pre-processing. That is very important. Pre-processing. Okay, let's change to markdown. Okay, so the pre-processing. So inside pre-processing, let's see first understand what is the info. Okay, so we have marital education default. So like these are the categorical column. Okay, we have already seen. Okay, so these are the categorical column. So I told, right, we cannot our machine learning cannot handle the categorical column as it is. We need to convert them into into numeric or 0 or 1. Okay, so we'll see how to calculate. Okay, so that's where first we need to list down all the categorical variables. Okay, what other, we have job comma marital L comma marital education default is also. Then we have housing. Then after housing we have a loan. title and contact. Contact is categorical, yes. Contact. Then we have the contact month. Then after month we have day of week. Okay, day underscore of underscore week. Okay, day of week. Then we have p outcome. Okay, p outcome. P outcome. P outcome. Then what else we have? Yes, I guess these many. Okay, p outcome. So you see here 1, 2, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sorry, 9 till 9, right? 9 and then we have 10. So 10 are the categorical one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, fine. All are there. Okay. So then we need to see here we're going to handle the categorical column. Okay, so for each categorical column we will convert them to dummy variables. Okay, so what are the dummy variable? I will show you. Okay, let me convert first. Okay, then I will tell you how they are working. Okay, so for underscore okay, underscore equal to pd dot get underscore dummies is a method. Dummies, then data where comma prefix is equal to where prefix is equal to where. Then what we'll do, we'll create a temp data frame, that is a data one is equal to data dot join, let us join cat underscore list. Cat where is already existing, so I will make it list underscore list, cat underscore list. Okay, then we'll convert data one for the second loop. I will explain. Okay, let me write it for the second loop. Okay, then we have data underscore where is equal to data one dot data columns. Okay, now it will work. Okay, so that was the problem because when error came just before that, right? So it was half executed. So that's where it was giving a problem. Let's print what is there, data underscore wires. Data underscore wires. Okay, so it is printing all this. If you note here, so we have job, marital, education, all these columns. Along with we have like we have let's see, job underscore admin, job underscore blue collar, job underscore entrepreneur. Okay, so now we need only these. We don't need job, marital status, all those things. Okay, so let me also one more thing. Okay, so data dot head. Okay, so you see here, so what we have done here, we have converted them to dummy. Okay, so what dummy means? See here, so now we have job, blue collar, technician, management. Okay, so let's go towards okay. Okay, so what happens in this here? It has converted. It has the job. Okay, so wait, I'll take another example. So now let me explain you. Okay, so now what I have done, I have printed all the columns starting from job till job underscore unknown and excluded all others. Okay, I have printed only these columns with respect to job. Okay, starting from job until job unknown, and here this is representing all rows. Okay, so now see, understand. So what happens? This so whenever this one is available means this this belongs to job underscore management. And if here this belongs to job underscore retired, others are zero. Okay, because for one row, it could be one row representing one person, and he will be working for only one thing, right? He will be either admin, he will be either household, he will be either management, he will be either retired, okay, but not both, right? So that's where one row will represent only one category of that job. So that's where whatever category it is representing, will make it one there, and remaining all are zeros. Okay. So for this particular row, that is row number 4. So see, he is retired. Okay. So there will be one under retired category. Okay. Rest all will be zero. And this person is blue collar. Then there will be one under blue collar. Okay. Rest all will be zero. Okay. Job student, technician, unemployed, unknown. Okay, so where is blue collar? So blue collar is here basically. Okay, there are many columns, so that's where it is hidden. So we'll take another example. For example, technician. I hope technician is visible. Yeah, so technician. So second row is technician, right? So it is representing one here. Okay, so that's how you can understand. So this is the meaning of this dummy. Okay, but what happens here, we have so see, we have done the dummification, but still we have this job column. So we don't need these original categories, we need only these. Okay, so that we have only 0 1 0 1 0 1. Okay, so that's where we need to remove them. Okay, so that's what we will do. We'll declare one variable underscore columns to underscore keep is equal to for I in, will directly assign I in variables. Where is the variable? Yeah, data underscore where. Okay, we have data underscore where's here. Okay, this column. Okay, data underscore where's. If I not in original column. Okay, cat underscore where. Okay, so these are the original categories right here. Okay, so that's where. So we'll run this. Okay, so now if we print columns to keep, it will have um, it will not have those job and all those categories. Okay, it will have only like dummies, their dummies. Okay, so now we have done with the dummification, and then next step is like I told you, like it is an imbalanced class problem. Okay, if you remember, I have shown you like y dot value underscore counts. Okay, so here you see like class 1 has only 4,000 records, class 0 have around 36,000 records. It is totally imbalanced. Okay, so we'll see the techniques in small. Okay, oversampling. We'll see how oversampling using a small works. Okay, so let's understand that one. So we'll see how it works. So for oversampling to work, like we need to import something called IMB learn. Okay, so from IMB learn dot oversampling. Okay, from import. Yeah. Okay, but one thing, like if you guys have not installed the IMB learn, you need to first install. You can put install IMB learn, and then you can import it. Okay, so I have already installed, so it will execute. Okay, so now so see, so one more important thing to note here, like for oversampling, we will do for training data, we'll not do for the testing data. Okay, we'll keep testing data intact. So before moving to that one, we need to get the training and test data. Okay, so how we'll get, so let's do it like this. Data dot first columns keep. Okay, so yeah, so see, we have so one thing I forgot here. So we have only like we got like which are the columns to keep. Okay, but so now we need to get the data for those columns. Okay, because in data right now everything is there. So we'll get data is equal to data, and then the columns to keep. We'll run this, then this data will have only those columns. Okay, so now if we print it, data dot columns It will print only, though. It will not have a job, marital, all those columns. It will have the dummy. Okay? No. We will have this data. So we need to get so we want to separate first. So before train test split, we need to separate out our independent variable and target variable. Okay, so independent variable will keep in x and target variable will keep in y. Sorry, yeah, y, correct. Okay, so that's where here what I am doing. So this is the location, data dot location, and then here this representing all rows, and then this representing data dot columns not equal to y. So we'll have all the columns but not the y column. Okay, so that's what we will do here. Okay, and then in y we'll have data dot loc. Okay, all rows, comma, data dot. So here we just need a data dot columns is equal to y, right? Dot columns is equal to y. Okay, here we need only y because this is the target variable, which is all rows. Okay, and these are all independent variables with all rows. Fine, and let's execute this. Okay, so now, and then next step is like let's initialize our oversampling object, random state equal to 0. Okay, so see, one more thing I would like to tell you here. See, suppose if you want to know like what are the variable we need to pass inside this function, what this function do, you just hover over that and press shift plus tab. Okay, it will give you the definition. Okay, it will give you the definition, and suppose I have written random state is equal to 0. So what this random state means? Okay, so let's go little down, random state. It is telling int random state instance default is equal to none. Control the randomization of the algorithm. If it is given int, okay, is a seed used by the random number generator. If random state instance, random state is random number generator. If none, the random number generator is the random state instance used by the without random. Basically, when you are doing oversampling, so it will do random samples. Okay, so that's what it means here. Okay, so we have initialized the oversampling object. Now we need to do the train test split. Okay, so one second. So you can do just after that. I forgot. Okay, so x underscore train comma x underscore test comma y underscore train comma y underscore test. So x is containing independent variable, y is containing the target variable, that is a dependent variable. Okay, is equal to train test split. You pass x comma y comma test size is equal to 0.30. So in test we will keep 30%. Okay, 30% of the data, and then of course random state. Okay, NDOM underscore random state is equal to 0. Okay, and let's run it. Okay, now let's run it, and then we'll have let's create a column variable where we will keep the x underscore trains dot column. Okay, what happens? X underscore trains is not defined. Okay, sorry, it is a train. Okay, so we have, so now we want to see so what happens. Let me recap. So we have got the independent variable, we have got the dependent variable, we got the train test split, Okay, now we have initialized the oversampling object. Okay, so next step what we will do, so I told you we need to do the oversampling in only the training data, not on the test data, so that our test data will be untouched, so that we will not have any records in the oversampling from the test data, so that while predicting this test data will be completely new. Okay, so that validate our result, whether we are getting the correct result or not. Okay, so that's what we will do. So now we'll just start fitting. We'll like kind of we like oversampling dot fit underscore sampling. We'll use this method to do the oversampling of train data. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so what will happen? So over underscore sample underscore x comma over underscore sample underscore y is equal to over underscore sampling sampling dot fit fit sample. Okay, fit sample, and then here pass x underscore train comma y underscore train. Okay, so what it will do, it will automatically generate some random samples for the minority class, so that your minority and majority class should be equal. So there should not be any minority or majority. Okay, they both should be equal. So that's what it will. And how it will calculate those random sample, it will use some k nearest neighbors approach, so that whatever the samples are nearby with some k value. Okay, so it will generate random sample with respect to that. Okay, so when I will be explaining the k nearest neighbor, so there you will get more clarity on how k nearest neighbor algorithm work. Okay, so basically, this validated like in both like independent and dependent variable. That is, x is your independent. So you see, so these both belongs to your training data, because we have oversampled the training data. Now, what is oversample underscore x is doing? What is oversample underscore what is y is doing? So after oversampling, whatever data set you got on that, these contains the independent variable, and this contains the dependent variable. Okay, so now you see, because both we have split it in, we have kept them in separate databases. So I wanted to validate like they both should have the equal number. Okay, length should be now what we want, we are interested in, let's see the length of the majority and minority class. Okay, so let me see like 255. Okay, let me again see for the mid one, class one. Okay, so this is also 2551. Okay, so this is not subscribed. Okay, and this is subscribed class. Okay, fine. So now you see, both in training data, both like your like now there is no minority majority, like both the classes 0 and 1. 0 class also has 25,000 records. 1 class is also having 25,000 records. Okay, so now this is what we have achieved through oversampling techniques. So we have used SMOTE. Okay, that is a synthetic minority oversampling technique. Okay, it oversample the minority class to increase the to reach to the level of majority. So that both of them having equal number of records. Okay. Now next we'll see the next step. We'll see the that is RFE, that is a recursive feature elimination technique. Recursive feature elimination technique. So what happens in recursive feature elimination techniques? It will start with all the feature, and what it will do, it will check the performance of the model, and then it will again come up with different set, and then it will see like which feature is not playing the role in the model accuracy. It will start eliminating that feature. Okay, so suppose we want to get only 20 features. Okay, suppose we want to have only 20 features at the end. So, so what happens? We will let me explain line by line. Okay, fine. So, like in our like we have something called data. So, data.columns.values.toList. What it will do? It will convert all the columns to the list. Okay, so we'll have data final underscore variables. Okay, and then in y we'll have y, that is a target variable, and in x for, so what it is doing, I for I in data final variables if I not in y. Okay, so what I'm telling, so here I'm just separating the target variable and independent variable. Okay, so y will have only the one variable because there is only one target variable, and in x we'll have all the independent variables which are not in y. Okay, and then we will have from sklearn.feature selection we will import RFE, and then from sklearn.linear model we'll import logistic regression. Okay, so these both exist in this RFE exists inside feature selection, and logistic regression exists inside linear model. Okay, then let's create a logistic regression object by calling this logreg is equal to logistic regression, and then we are interested in getting the 20 features. Okay, then we will do RFE is equal to RFE in bracket log reg, that is a linear logistic regression object, and we are interested in having 20 features only, and then we'll just fit it RFE dot fit, and this is oversample 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 what is this oversample data x, and then oversample data y. Okay, dot values. Okay, and then let's run it. It will take some time. Okay, okay, so now it has ran and it has given us this output. Okay, so see what false means and what true means. So in in data.columns, okay, it will go sequentially, and false means it has excluded that column, and true means it has included that column. Okay, so in if we print data this one. Okay, print. Okay, so it has ran the feature elimination technique, and then we got and this is the output. Okay, so what this output means, false means it has excluded that particular column. If we see, I will show you here we have printed this data final var. Okay, and if we go like one by one, like 1 2 3, okay, and if you map with this, the first one is excluded. Okay, second one is also excluded, like this, the number, this one is included. Okay, then this one is included, then this was included, this one included, like this. Okay, so these columns are included, and this is the ranking. Okay, so which variable is having more weightage. So like one is means this is having more weightage, and then likewise it will go down. Okay, so I have noted down those features. Okay, so let me copy those features basically. Okay, so on which we will take further in our calculation. Okay, so these are the features basically. Okay, if you just map like true false, then you'll get these features. Okay, so we'll run our algorithm on these features. So basically our sample F. Okay, and then we have our sample y. Okay, so let me run. So finally, this is our x and this is our y. Okay, this is our set of independent features, and this is the dependent feature with respect to the training data. Okay, so now we'll start the model building. So we need to install the pip. So pip install stats model is the model which will give you the libraries for model building. Okay, so I have already installed, so I'm not going to install again, but for your convenience I have just kept it here. Okay, so now we'll have just some library like this. So from stat model.api as a sent. So this is the object of this stat model API. And then I will have use the logit model, that is logit. So logit is used for logistic regression, so, and we'll pass the y, that is the target variable, and then independent variables in this. Okay, and then logit underscore model dot fit, it will train the model and we'll have the result. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, I hope it will not take much time. Okay, and then see, we got this output. Okay, so now, so there is we'll get like different coefficients, variables, and terms in this logit output. So let me explain some important variables, like what is the significance of p-value. Okay, so p-value, like kind of it tells you like which feature is important and which feature is not important. So we given some 20 like 20 number, like in our RFE. See, if you go back here and see, we have set 20. Okay, in RFE. So 20 means, and at the end we want to do our analysis with 20 features. We want to eliminate all others. Okay, so it has given some 20 features to us. Okay, so now with in all those 20, if we have built the model, then again we can eliminate some of the feature based on the p-value. So if we can set the threshold of the p-value with 0.05, then see, the one which has a p-value greater than 0.05, so those are the variable which have less significance in our model. Okay, so like this. So this is the variable which is having less significance in our like model building. Okay, so we will remove this variable and then we'll uh, build it further. Okay, so let's copy this again. Okay, and I will remove this education illiterate. I will remove this. Okay, and then let me run it again, and then let me copy this again. Okay, I will have somebody else. Okay, then we got another set of output. Okay, so here you see almost all the features are having p-value less than 0.05. So all are having enough significance. Okay, and then like p-value, we have the threshold. If p-value is greater than 0.05, then it is not important. Similarly, with respect to z-score, if absolute value of z is more, it should be more for more significance. Okay, so the more the z value, the more the significance that variable is. Okay, but in p-value, the less the p-value, it is more significant. Okay, but in z value, we look for the absolute value. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let's move further. We will build the logistic regression model. So now, so we are, I'm importing a logistic regression classifier from the scalar.linear model library. Then I will import some matrix to use, okay, like for confusion matrix. And then of course, we'll have a train test split, okay. So we have X and Y, that is oversample data. And then on that one, that we'll just split and see the score, okay. Predict. So see, we got the accuracy of around 87%. Okay, this is not bad accuracy, right? So we got 80%, 87. So log reg, so this is the object of logistic regression. We pass the training variable and X train containing the independent variable of the training data. Y train is containing the target variable of the training data. So we have independent variable, we have target variable with respect to training data, because on training data we want to train. So we should have both independent and target, both variables. Okay, and then we are passing those as argument in logres.fit, and it will train. So fit function trains the thing basically. Okay, and then next thing is predict. So predict on what? On the test data. Okay, so we have x underscore test. So logreg dot predict x test. So so y predict, this will have the prediction. That is the target, whether it belongs to subscription or not, subscription 0 or 1. Okay, and then we need to see the overall score. So overall score like x test, y test. Okay, so log res contains our prediction that our model. Okay, so and then x test, so that is a test independent variable, and y test test target variable. Okay, and we want to see like how good it has performed with respect to test value. So in test we already know testing data, also we know what is the actual class. Okay, against them we want to see our score. So that's where we have passed x test and y test in the log res, and we got 87% score. Okay, so not bad, right? And then next is like we'll just see the confusion matrix. Okay, so sklearn dot matrix import confusion matrix. So confusion matrix is equal to confusion underscore matrix, and then this is coming from here. Then let's pass y test and y predict. So this is the testing target variable, which has 0 1 0 1 known 0 1, because test data is the split from the original data, right? And in original, that's the data we have. We have divided into train and test. So those are the y test values. We know whether it is 0 or 1. Okay, y predicted is the one which model has predicted. Okay, so we want to do the comparison on against these two values, right? So those we have passed in confusion matrix. Let's print it. Okay, so it has given us this score. So like, see, if you know, so like about confusion matrix, what it do, right? The first coordinate like true positive, that is a correctly identified true, false negative, like falsely told as negative, right? And then false positive means falsely told as positive. Understood, right? True negative, truly told as negative, truly predicted as negative. So these and these are the correct predictor, true positive and true negative. Okay, and these 645 false negative. Okay, by mistake we are telling they are negative, but actually they are positive. Okay, so that's the meaning of this. Okay, and then let's print the recall and precision. Okay, so if I tell you like total correctly predicted observations are equal to 7021 plus 1335. Okay, and remain these some are the incorrectly predicted. Okay, actually we need to convert it to the markdown. Okay, fine. So now let's print the this precision and recall. Okay, so total accuracy we got 87. So this is the precision. Okay, 84, 91 for 0 it is 84, for 1 it is 91. Okay, and for recall for 0 92 and for 1 83. Okay, and then next let's plot the ROC curve. So okay, so how to plot the ROC curve? So we have sklearn dot matrix. So from there we can import ROC underscore AUC underscore score. Okay, and then sklearn dot matrix we can import ROC curve. Okay, and then we can use ROC AUC score. Okay, so ROC is receiver operator characteristics and AUC is area under curve. I will explain. Okay, once I plot, I will explain what is the meaning of this. Okay, so ROC AUC score y test, we want to pass our target values, that is a 0 1 target variable, and then whatever it has predicted, logarithm dot predict. Okay, then x test. Okay, now false positive, true positive, threshold. Okay, what is the threshold? Because we want to set some threshold, like above that we'll assume them they are the positive class, and below that value they are the negative class. Okay, and then ROC curve. So like y test, then predicted value, then this 0 comma 1. Okay, sorry, 0 comma 1, not 0 comma 1, like all the rows but first column. Okay, because we are understanding only one column. Okay, then plot dot figure, and these are some like labeling and styling criteria for the plot. Okay, that let me draw it. Okay, so like this, so logistic regression area. So like this is this will come here. Okay, plot. Okay, and then so understanding this curve is more important. Okay, so what it is telling. So ROC curve is nothing but the plot between true positive rate versus false positive rate. Okay, so true positive correctly identified as positive, false positive incorrectly identifies as positive, falsely predicted as positive. They are not positive, but model is predicting as positive. So they are wrong, right? So that's where our false positive should be low, true positive should be high. So that's where this value should be low and this value should be high. So y-axis should be high, this axis should be low. So that's where this curve should be tilted towards the y-axis, that this corner. Okay, so that's where the more this is bent towards this corner, the more correct our results are. Okay, so I hope you have got a good understanding of how logistic regression works. So this is all about today's session. So what we discussed, we started with banking data. Okay, we did some exploratory data analysis. Then we did some visualization. We understand like how each variable is contributing in target variable. Okay, and we plotted some of the nice charts for them, and then we understand how to handle the categorical variable. We converted them to dummy, and then because our problem is like imbalanced class problem, so we used oversampling technique, that is mode. And then we also handled some of the feature selection technique, that is a RFE, recursive feature elimination technique. And then we used logistic regression to build the model, and then we saw the confusion metric and ROC curve. Okay, so this is all about today's session. If you have any queries, any doubt, please feel free to comment us, or in the description you will get this a notebook link you can download along with the dataset link. You can download the dataset, you can download the notebook, and you can practice. Okay, and for any queries you can contact me.